All right, thanks for joining the session, How Salesforce Automates. My name is Newton Wong. I am the Senior Product Manager of the Enterprise Platform here at Salesforce for a little bit over a year and a half. Um, Prior to joining Salesforce, I was building product solving business problems using AI and ML and data at both the startup and a Fortune 500 enterprise. Prior to joining Salesforce, I've had very little experience with RPA and learned a lot about it during my journey here. Salesforce is the number one CRM focused on helping companies, marketing, sales, commerce, service, and IT teams work as one from anywhere so that they can keep their customers happy everywhere. And we are based in San Francisco with offices around the globe, with over 660,000 employees and over $21 billion in revenue. So why automation? And more specifically, why automation anywhere? As Salesforce is aiming to grow our business, one of our key strategies of unlocking that growth is through automation, specifically finding opportunities to automate front, mid, and back office activities across the enterprise through RPA, which is robotic process automation. Will enable our awesome teams to then focus on the strategic initiatives to get Salesforce to where it wants to get to. In order to automate, we need to stand up an automation tool, and more specifically for RPA. Upon doing our due diligence back in 2019, um, we felt that automation anywhere would be able to help achieve the growth outcomes that we're looking for through automation. Um, when we selected automation anywhere, a lot of it kind of met our needs, specifically around architecture, its capabilities, the security, and security for us is our number one core value. And so those were reasons why we chose automation anywhere. So as we started that journey, kind of where are we now? So we selected that automation anywhere as our core tool for our platform. The next thing we did was stand up and establish a center of excellence, and we were able to introduce RPA into the enterprise through automating different business processes. And in about that year, we were able to establish that global COE. Towards the end of 2020, we were able to kick off also the co-dev community, where other teams and individuals across the company can start automating their own business processes. As of today, the COE is able to impact over 5 business domains and unlock over 12,000 hours. We're planning to kind of grow that by double by the end of this year. And in order to achieve that, for this year, we're looking to leverage Automation 360. And so we're in the middle of completing that migration to Automation 360 and utilizing that platform to scale the adoption across the COE and CoDev community. In addition, kind of looking beyond that, Automation 360 is the starting point for us where we would like to kind of push hyper automation and use different tooling to kind of push that vision. We started using the intelligent document processing with IQBot, and we are also looking in the short term, how do we utilize AI and ML, process discovery, and process mining to really push these capabilities on automating different business processes that require different things across the enterprise. So what are some keys to our success on this journey? We've learned and invested on many different things, and these 4 topics are sort of top of mind, at least for me, to kind of ensure the success of the automation vision. The first thing is really scaling through the CoDev community. And the next is building and mindfully building partnerships across teams. And the third being treating each automation as a product. And finally, just laser focus on business value and business outcomes. So scaling through the CodeF community. In order for us to get to that scale that we want and to get to that inherent outcomes, the CodeF community is very, very important and key to that success. The speed and the user satisfaction and the ease of learning how to automate using automation anywhere was one of our first challenges. And so we had to really understand who would make up that CodeF community, really understand the different personas, the different individuals and teams that made that up. And so we actually spent time doing research and interviewing a lot of these individuals to really understand their specific and different needs and pains, to figure out and prioritize what we as a COE needed to build for in terms of processes and tools and training in order to ensure that adoption from these individuals that make up this community. For instance, we have a bot template within our COE that for those of us who live and breathe RPA really understand and can take that off the shelf and really use a bot template to then build their automations. However, if you hand that specific bot template over to a business person or an Excel wizard or a traditional engineer, you will get a different response. And so what we focused on was being able to tailor that specifically to each of the different personas that would be part of this community. And for us, being focused on these users and empathizing their individual journey was valuable, especially if we want this community not only to build automation, but also be evangelists for it as well. And so if this CodeF community becomes our evangelist, then naturally automation starts to scale. And with scale, both from a COE and from a CodeF perspective, we wanted to ensure the frictionless lifecycle of building an automation. And so, as most of us know, digital workers the idea of a digital worker or a bot is pretty disruptive to existing processes or controls that are in place. And being with the fact that a digital worker is neither a person or a service account or integration, there's sort of this white space that this kind of introduced. And so we were able to really focus and make optimizations around that. We started to work with the different specific teams and really understand what outcomes and what requirements they needed in order to help us onboard a digital worker. These teams would range, and for us, it was with security, with audit, with compliance, with SOX, even target systems. How do we kind of collaborate and build partnerships with them so that we can ensure that we build these bots safely within Salesforce? In addition, with these target systems, we were able to build relationships with them, with their product teams, not only just to get access and to get data, but also to get RPA onto their roadmaps. And that allowed and enabled sort of this partnership to really grow. And so one of those instances, with one of our financial target systems, we were able to build not only a process of onboarding new processes to be automated, but also opportunities to collaborate to get these bots working securely and even getting to a point of troubleshooting them throughout the life cycle. And for each team, we use business outcomes really as a way to guide our collaboration. And since each business outcome for each business process is a little bit different, one thing that we've learned also is to kind of treat each RPA or treat each automation as its as a own discrete product. And the reason being is each of these processes have different impacts on the business, the people and the teams that it touches, the systems, the upstream and the downstream dependent processes and activities. They're all different. And not only that, throwing the fact that RPA is a new concept for some of these folks, it kind of built this idea that each automation is its own discrete product. With that in mind, a few things kind of help with that mind shift change. One of the things we did as a COE was really look at demoing early and often to the business. I think we all have experiences where documenting a process is always a challenge as we're missing steps, or things might change. And so the sooner we can get um, a coded task in, the sooner we can show them to get feedback. And the more feedback we get, the better process we can automate, as well as building that trust that we're building the right thing for them. The other thing that we also learned was not letting perfection be the enemy of good. It would be awesome to kind of automate, a very large process or a fully integrated process end to end from step, one to step N. But getting to that adds time as well. And so we mindfully broke down a lot of our processes and had a different way of approaching integration as well in order to get the business value that we're hoping to unlock early. And with the processes that we're integrating with the new system, there was a process that we had where adding this integration to this process would actually add at least a minimum of 3 months. And so what we did was we would work with the business and we collaborate with them around the automation. And so the first deployment or the MVP of that was really keeping that integration to that system manual still. So they would still have to download a report to actually trigger the process. However, we built the automation downstream where the repetitive tasks and action the bot was able to automate. And so from there, we were able to get the bulk of the time savings right then and there. And for a future release, we were able to address the integration. So we were able to get to that business value early. In addition, we use configuration flags as a way for dark launches, and that really accelerated and assisted with change management, trusting a bot can do what a human can do, as well as increase the adoption of this process. And so the process that we had was was matching cash payments with invoices. And so the bot, and that was one of the steps. And the second step was to then take that matched invoice and payment and then process that through with the bank. And so what we did was we put configuration flags to turn on and off each of those steps so that we can, once we deployed it into production, we had the ability to turn one or the other off. And then specifically in our case, we left the bank processing off for a while so that we can ensure that the matching was doing as accurate as can be and had it run side by side with what the business was doing in production. And so this mindset really allowed us to build automations so we can really stay laser focused on delivering business value as fast as we can. And with RPA and automation, we do need to continue to focus on what differentiates RPA, right? Time to market for these automations, being able to save hours on business processes, being able to ensure compliance and accuracy on compliance and SOX activities, and lastly, just really ensuring the well-being of our teams, especially as we are in the middle and hopefully the end of this pandemic. And using business outcomes really helps align our roadmaps and priorities between the business and target system teams. If we can automate a business process that achieves the value for an agreed duration with limited effort from the COE or from the CoDev community, then those are the conversations and leads of that conversation that are vital to the success of automation. Having that focus on the outcomes also enables creativity with the partnering teams too, to finding the right solution to achieve whether it's hours saved or accuracy of SOX controls or compliance controls. And so we had a situation where we were looking at automating a process, and that target system had a feature that would address most of it. However, that feature wasn't going to be delivered as part of the roadmap for 8 months. And so we aligned with that product team as well as the business, and we were able to align on the business value and the hours that was saved, and decided that having a runtime of 7 months was good enough. And so we were able to deliver that automation and start achieving those hours saved. Ultimately, that feature was also delayed for unrelated reasons, and so not only are we getting that 7 months, we're also getting whatever else that is going to come off the top there. And so focusing on business value versus the solution will definitely lead to greater alignment and priorities and prioritization across teams, and getting to the value propositions that we want. And so our automation journey doesn't stop there, and it continues to go. The four things that I shared previously are valuable things that we take with us and continue to iterate on. As we continue, we purposely learn and we retrospectively discover what's valuable and what are the right opportunities to pivot or to continue or to even tweak. Even after over a year, we always kind of take this beginner's mindset and this product mindset to each of the use cases that come to us from either the COE or the co-dev community. And we kind of leverage the previous work, and we safely explore new ways so that we can scale adoption. And with that mindset, we always continue to measure the discrete business outcomes for each of these automations, whether it's time to market, whether it's hours saved, whether it's ensuring the accuracy of compliance or SOX controls. We need to continue to measure that so that we can continue to measure the success of automation at Salesforce. Lastly, our partners and our co-developer community are the keys to our success, and focusing on their needs, which could be different for each person that is part of it. A business person needing the COE to whether it's to build the automation, business person that needs to learn and then build their automation, or there's another team, an engineering team that wants to build an automation on behalf for their business. Each of those are different, and each of them are vital to success of automation. Thanks for taking the time to listen to our journey, and hopefully our journey has inspired you to imagine how your organization automates and can be great.